Well, good evening, everyone. I'm Camille Nash, and welcome to the Bullpen. So, listen, here in the Bullpen, we talk everything media, ministry, money, and the marketplace. If you've been on this journey with me for any length of time, you know I have this affinity for whales. I'd love to tell you it was birthed out of some melodic story where you could hear the violins playing in the background. No, no, not here. It was actually birthed out of God granting me lemons, and I've been able to take those lemons and turn those lemons into lemonade. Now, over the pandemic, I like to call it the plandemic, I really got tired of sitting in so many rooms. I found myself in all types of rooms, from courtrooms, boardrooms, and tons of social media rooms. And listen, I got tired of men attempting to tell women how to live their lives and women attempting to tell men how to live theirs. So I thought, why not create a space where I could invite men from all around the world and all walks of life to come in and share with men, allowing other men to hear from their mouth to their ears how to live a whole, healthy, and alive life. Which leads me to tonight's conversation. We're in season 2 of the Bullpen. If you missed any of the episodes, you can go back on the Camille Nash TV YouTube channel. You can check it out there. And we're in a few other places too. So just go out there, ask Mr. Google, and you can find us. Tonight and all season long, we're going to be talking about the power of meaningful relationships, those powerful connections, and what they really mean to our lives. Tonight, we are going to talk specifically about the social connection. A lot of times I don't hear much conversation about how men stay connected. And this gentleman that I'm going to bring to the platform tonight, he is a master at connecting. I just wonder sometimes how he does it all. And he makes major impact to all generations, the young and those seasoned folks that have been here a little while. And I won't give away his story because he can certainly tell it far better than I can. So without further ado, allow me to present to some and to introduce to others. That in the form of my friend going all the way back to Cleveland, Ohio, also a brother that I served dearly with in ministry, Alvin Smith, to the platform tonight.
How you doing?
There he is. There he is. I am excellent. I am excellent, Alvin. How about yourself, sir?
Overly blessed. Overly blessed.
Listen, I don't think I ever heard that before. The overly blessed. Listen, you all, without, in full transparency, he said that to me when we had a little pre-show for a couple minutes. And I said, I don't think I've ever heard anybody say it that way. Overly blessed. I'm going to give you credit a couple times, Alvin. Okay, Alvin Smith will get credit, then I will make that my own. So so tonight, I want to talk with you about meaningful connections. Really, I look at and marvel at some of the things that you've done over the last couple decades now. Most people look at you and think you're a young man. He got some miles on him, y'all. He's very experienced. And if you wouldn't mind, please tell our audience a little bit about Alvin. Maybe something that they wouldn't be able to hear me say in your from your resume or from your bio. Maybe just a little bit about you or what you can, what maybe they should look forward to hearing in the conversation tonight.
Well, I'm Alvin Smith, funny guy. Grew up wanting to be a rapper and and a comedian. In some way, got saved and started a Christian publication, and my life started to go in an area of multimedia and technology or whatever, for computers and graphic design and stuff like that. So I'm a professional graphic designer and a photographer, if I could just put it short.
Yeah, see, he is a funny guy, y'all. He gonna behave tonight, but he really is a funny person. And I know that sometimes, especially when you're a person that comes from faith and also in the Black community, sometimes we hide behind our laughter, or we allow laughter to feed us when maybe times aren't so great. Tell us a little bit about the younger Alvin. Like, how did you find this space? I do remember you've done a lot: computer science, graphics. A phenomenal photographer. He's a phenomenal photographer, you all. How did you find this space, or maybe how did the space find you?
Well, I think it was around 2000. I had, just being a guy on the street, and I seen a pretty girl, and I was trying to talk to her, and I kept asking her to go out, and I would always call her at 10 o'clock at night. So she's like, "We're gonna go out. We're gonna go out." All the clients, 10 o'clock at night. So one day she called me. Maybe it was 8 o'clock in the morning. And she said, "You still want to hang out with me?" I was like, "Yeah, I've been wanting to hang out with you." She's like, "Well, get dressed. I want you to meet me somewhere." And she gave me the address of this church. And so
I
I come to church trying to chase her, trying to get to know her. And after about 3 weeks, I just kind of fell in love with coming to the church. And she was a police officer. This wasn't her church. This just was close to where she was doing her work at. And she went back to her church, but I didn't leave. And I joined the church. And me and her relationship just kind of fizzled, just like, hey, hi, and bye. And I just
love
kind
it.
of got introduced to Christianity through the church.
Mm-hmm.
Fell in love with the pastor, became his armor bearer, and he kept speaking in my life, saying, you know, you could do more, you could do more. You should start you a magazine or something. And, you know, I didn't know anything about starting magazines, but I do know I was the type of person. If you gave me a rope, I want to be a cowboy. 3 weeks later, you know, at work, me and my friend, we figure out the name of the magazine, which is Fellowship Magazine. I hired a graphic designer and a photographer, and we was boogieing. And one day, the graphic designer quit on me. And I've always
Wow.
been right. I've always been the type that if I hire you and pay you, I'm gonna sit there and watch you. So for over
Mm-hmm.
6 months, I've been watching him put the magazine together, and I would be like, "Why you do this? Why you do that? Why you do that?" Not knowing the whole time I'm in class learning graphic design. I'm just watching my
Yeah.
money. And so
Mm-hmm.
he quit on me, and I had 2 days or 3 days to get the magazine to print, and I figured it out, and I just kept going by myself, and the rest is kind of just history.
Wow, that's so powerful. Even in listening to that, when we talk about the marketplace, so you allowed that season or that moment, which could have been a hiccup, you
Right.
allowed it to teach you, and you didn't just wallow in it. You said, okay, what can I do?
Hmm.
That couldn't have been real easy. I mean, I know you had to say something to yourself to pull up and out of that. Yeah.
No, it was actually was easy. I've
What
always been a
really?
busy. Yeah, it was. Let me just be real
Okay.
honest with you. And you know, in full transparency, I didn't practice for this interview. I didn't even read what the pre questions would be or anything like that. I just kind of like, you know what,
You didn't.
life has been great just being Alvin. So if you can just get on here and just be Alvin and make sure your mustache, your beard look okay, you should be fine. You know. But it wasn't difficult at all because I've always had the mentality that God will make a way. Even
Mhm.
before I was saved, I can look in any refrigerator on earth and find something to eat. We grew up poor.
Yeah.
And because I could look in the refrigerator and figure out, okay, I can make a mayonnaise sandwich, or I can make a hood donut in the broiler in the bottom of the oven with some butter or whatever like that, I knew it was going to work out. So I didn't
Mm.
panic. I just knew I
Yeah.
had to just deal with it and move forward. So,
Yeah.
but no, I didn't. You know, it wasn't that big of a deal.
That's so good, Alvin, because what I'm hearing you say, even at an early age, you had this incredible amount of faith. You're
Right.
like, I don't know how I'm going to get over there or how this story is going to play out, but I
Mhm.
know it's going to play out and it's going to work to my advantage.
Mhm.
Was that instilled in you at an early age, or how did that come to be for you?
You know, that's a great question. I tell I'm a different dude. I forget his name. He's one of my pastor's sons, and I don't want to mess his name up. But he
Okay.
said he spoke about the 12 and talking about I am not number 12. There's a difference between me and the other 12, and I've always thought I was different than everybody else. Not better, but just different.
Mm.
Certain things don't happen to me. And if they happen to me, I won't come out the same way most people will come out. He spoke about most people, when we talk about Jesus walking on the water,
Yeah, yeah.
they, you know, they would drown. Most people can't walk on what's supposed to overtake them. And
Hmm.
I'm just been that type of person. Most in all of my life, things that's supposed to overtake me, I've always ended up on walking on. So,
Mm, that is
yeah.
so powerful. Just hearing, and I only heard a remnant of what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You're not the typical 12. So he was
No,
saying, I'm not the 12. I
I'm
might not.
different.
I'm different. I might not have been
Yeah,
even in the 12. Wow,
right.
that's
So
interesting.
again, let me go back to the story when Jesus called out and said, "Come." He didn't say, "Come," in any specific person. Anybody could have came, but Peter
Yeah,
was the
that's
only
true.
one who's. He was the one who decided to come because in
Yeah.
his mind he knew he was different than the others. I am not number 12. I'm not one of them. I'm different.
Mm,
Even though I'm your chosen guys, I'm one of the. the guys you hang out with, or the guys, you know, you may be
Yeah.
trying to do all this stuff with, I'm different. And I've always thought that about myself. I always tried to be a leader. And when I didn't lead, I got in trouble. When I led, I came out all right.
That is just so powerful though, as I allow that to resonate, because
Mhm.
you're already selected, right? Jesus has
Right,
already chosen you amongst the 12. Heck,
right,
he already chose one that he knew was going
mhm,
to betray him at the same time
right,
as well.
right, right.
But initially, you're right. You're right. He did make the call to everyone, but only one
Mhm.
was willing. That's a
Right.
word right there. Only
Yeah.
one was willing and believed that they could do it.
Yeah. Most
So,
believers, I'm not to cut you off, most believers think that there's a distinction between believers and non believers. But the argument is there's a distinction between believers and other believers. There's a distinction between someone who believes in Christ and somebody else who believes in Christ. There are people who have dumb, crazy faith and just walk out in faith and operate like that. And I just believe I'm just one of those people.
so I'm gonna bother that a little bit, only
Okay.
because when I look at, so from faith, right? When we talk about faith, we know you and I are both we come from faith. We're both believers. We believe
Hmm.
in Jesus Christ.
Hmm.
We believe in his death, burial, resurrection. We do. We also know that there are people that are in darkness and people that are in the light. But what I
Hmm.
like about what you said is we are all believing something.
Right.
Believe something. I mean, if
Right.
all you believe is that you turn the light switch on, it's going to come on,
Hmm.
but you believe it was going to come on. Or I
Hmm.
believe this chair could hold me. Why? Because I've tried it already. Whether I sat in it for the first time or not, I believe that it'll hold me.
Hmm.
So I love what you said, that we do all believe something. Yet there is a distinction between if you're in the light or in the darkness. Because
Well,
right.
there are people who believe in God but don't believe in themselves. You know,
Oh,
you does that make
oh,
any sense? The meaning
yes.
that if they had an idea for a business and they had five
Come on
thousand
here.
dollars in the bank, they're going to wait on God to give them some more money before they make a move. I'm not one of those people. If I
Woo.
believe God told me to do it, and it's 5,000 in my bank, that 5,000 is about to be invested into whatever I believe God is telling me to do. That is the distinction. You know what I
Mm,
mean? We
yeah.
both believers, but one of us believe more in ourselves. One of us have a little bit more faith than others.
That's a bold faith.
Right.
That's a
You,
bold faith.
don't you think
Crazy
walking on
faith.
water is bold?
Yes, yes. That's a bold faith. That's a crazy
Yeah.
faith. That's so good.
Yeah.
So Alvin, tell me this. You have, were you raised by, okay, let me ask this. Did your
Go ahead.
parents or people that raised you during your childhood, did they have this level of faith, or is this something you found on your path in your walk with God?
Growing up in the projects, 105 in Way Park,
Mm,
you at that time in the 80s, you were surrounded by people who, your parents, you had surrogate parents, you had neighbors who had the
yep.
ability to parent you, even though they're not your parents. So you have a lot of different role models.
Yes.
All of my role models didn't live in my household. You get what I'm saying?
Oh
Some of
yeah.
my role
Same here.
models,
Same here.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Mr. Williams, who know how to fix bikes. I just knock on his door, my bike broke, and he come out, he fix it. He was a mentor, or would be before I even knew what a mentor was. He's someone who cared about the boys of the neighborhood. So
Mhm.
I don't, as a matter of fact, I would say who I am now has little to do with who lived in my household and had more to do
Mm.
with the
Wow.
people who I attach myself with,
Hmm.
relationships, what we're talking about.
Yeah. So the power of connection and meaningful relationships. You said something about Mr. Williams. I mean, I had a Mr. Williams in my neighborhood
Hmm.
too, right?
Hmm.
And I think that that's one of the advantages we have as Gen X. I just believe it. I stand on it. I'm not changing my mind.
Hmm.
We were able to be parented by the neighborhood. We were able to
Right,
be influenced by the neighborhood, and all of it wasn't bad. There
right.
was a lot of it that where it gave us tutelage that really has helped shape our entire lives. When
Yeah.
you think back to those times, um, do you have a different level of faith than those? Okay, you only child. I don't think you're only
I have a
child.
sister. I have a sister.
I thought so. Okay,
Mhm.
so do you all kind of operate the same in your life, in your thought
No,
life?
no,
No.
not at all.
Not at all. And when it comes to your family, would you say that you said you're different. So you're
Hmm.
different from the majority of them, right?
Right, I am.
So how do you now at this? see, I mean, at this season space in life, I mean, you're
Mhm.
not that old. He ain't that old, y'all. But
Okay.
he's got some miles on him, like I do. We got more miles on us than we
I'm
got
on I'm
behind
on
us.
I'm on the fifth floor, if you know what I mean. So
We on the fifth floor.
yeah, I'm on the
So
fifth.
that being said, how do you use a lot of what you've learned to build connections? Because you're a master at it and
Mhm.
building relationships, especially when it comes to the community. How do you do that?
Well, I think the first thing I learned as a child was the importance of making people smile and making people laugh, being a good person, being a genuine person, being something or someone people either navigate to or want to be around. I've always been the person who
Mm-hmm.
dictated the temperature in the room. I never been the person who's been in the room waiting for someone to dictate the temperature. You get
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying?
I do.
So
I
I've
do.
always been the loudest and the most influential mouth and personality in the room. I just happen to have, and I believe, a great personality and a great sort of friendship and a cool type of guy. And
Hmm.
so, because I led with that, people have been attracted to me because of that.
Yeah.
And
Have
so,
you
it's
been that
easy
way?
to build connections because of that.
So have you been that way your whole life?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So because he's right. You have this infectious personality.
Mhm.
You're always very kind, and you do smile a lot, and you do
Mhm.
make jokes.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I've been around. I've been around you,
Mhm.
and a lot of people say they shift the atmosphere for the better, but I've watched you do it.
Right.
And so when it comes to not only how you build your business, how you build your life, how you build your relationships,
Mhm.
what do you use as a form of or methodology to as a way in to just begin conversation with people?
I'm a very direct, barging in type person. I'm not,
Okay.
I am not about to wait for you to break the ice with me. I'm
Okay.
going to break the ice with you. And
Yeah.
because my personality is so big, people know my name before I tell them my name. You get
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
I
So
do.
the relationships that I have and the friendships that I have probably all started through my either my reputation or me being in a room they were in, not because we did business together or I dated someone in their family or anything like that. It was just simply because he was in the room, he shook the room up. I like this guy, I want him to be in the room I'm in, whenever.
Okay.
So,
So you
I
found it.
hope that helps you
So you
understand.
found it easy. So it's easy for you. So so
Easy.
so what about those people that it's not easy for? That they find it, see, we're extroverts, right? Well, I
Right,
like to
right.
say I'm an ambivert. I'm more
Hmm.
ambivert because I love my quiet time, peaceful time
Hmm.
for me. But I don't need people to breathe. Some people need that. I don't. I can take it either or, but I do like being around people. Not all
Well,
the time.
I'm just like that.
Hmm.
I can be an introvert or I could be an extrovert. I could be at home and just planning and trying to make some stuff happen,
Yep.
or I could be in a room. The great thing about it, I don't have any highs or lows that gets me off keel either way. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
yeah.
I'm not. I'm never in the house like woe is me, and I'm never in the crowd like I'm the man. I'm even keel the
You
whole time.
are. You
I'm the
are
same
actually.
person the whole time. So
Yeah. So how do you do that? That's a gift.
uh
That's
huh.
not everybody
Well, you
can't do
said it.
that.
It's a gift. I don't know how I do it,
Yeah.
but I just know it's important not to get too high or get too low. There is a poem, and it says, if you cannot make dreams your master, if you cannot make thoughts your aim, if you can treat triumph and disaster just the same, something like that. You know what I mean? And I try to do the same. I don't get too high, I don't get too low. I don't need a whole bunch of people, and a whole bunch of people doesn't intimidate me. You get
Mhm.
what I'm saying?
I do. Yeah.
This I make my way in and I make my presence known, and most importantly, I never try to leave the room without somebody saying, "Who was that ball guy?" Like you know what I
Mm,
mean.
yeah.
Somebody's gonna wonder who I am.
So it's what I'm hearing you say is that is a part of your end in mind. You go in with that thinking, with
Yeah,
that
I
thought
go in.
process.
Yeah,
I definitely want to make not just I don't want to impress anybody, but I definitely want to make an impression
yeah,
where
yeah.
they know I was here. They
Yes, ma'am.
definitely know I was here. So let's
Mhm.
talk about what you're doing. I know I heard about the new truck. I want to talk a little bit about that. So
Okay.
you all you will learn more about the urban. He's going to talk about the urban design suite and what he does. But I
Mhm.
want to talk about your thinking
Headshots on wheel. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
shift to do that, to take your studio, put your studio on wheels. I want, because that's creative and that's
Uh-huh.
also innovative. What did it take to
Yes.
do that?
So the biggest thing in having studios over the years is studios are great until it's time to pay the rent, right? And so
Well,
you know,
well,
and you about a week or two out, you think like, okay, I got to get this man's rent together, whatever, like that, and it could be very, very heavy on you, and I didn't like that heaviness. Plus, I knew a lot of people who wanted photography, but for
mhm.
whatever reason, they just couldn't make the appointment. They wanted to make the appointment, but they just couldn't make the appointment. So I was thinking one day, I said, what if I could just bring the photography to them without having to load up my car, drag stuff up these steps and all, and which I've done, which is I've been successful at, but it's
Yeah.
not the route I wanted to go, especially as
Mhm.
I get older. Do I really want to drag equipment or whatever? Is it worth my time? So I decided to create headshots on wheels where people can come right inside the trailer and get headshots right downtown. So
Mhm.
Thursday, I'm parked in front of the Marriott or parked in front of the Federal Building. On Friday, people can just come up. They can zap the QR code on the side of the truck. They can pay their $50 for their deposit, come in, get
Yeah.
headshot half an hour, pay the rest of their money, and go home.
I just think I think that's huge
Yeah.
because now you've taken the no out the game.
Mm-hmm.
I saw something. Now you correct me. I thought I saw some on social media. You said you have some jackets. You have
Mm-hmm.
different options for people where if they didn't have what they needed, you have
Right.
something already right there.
Mm-hmm.
Cap and gowns. If they forgot
Mm-hmm.
something, you have tassels already there.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that that's phenomenal. And we serve a God that is a God that moves, right?
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, you decided I'm not going to wait. That's you being
Mm-hmm.
innovative. How have people responded to it? I can only think about it me personally. I think it will be phenomenal because if
Uh-huh.
you're saying it's just like when people come to repair your glass,
Uh-huh.
like on your car, the
Uh-huh. Right.
windshield, they come
Mm-hmm.
right through it right at your house, at your job,
Right.
the church, wherever you are, they're going to
Uh,
do it right there. So I'd imagine you're getting that same type of buzz.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. As soon as I post pictures and people know about the trailer, they automatically say, "Hey, can you come take pictures for my team or whatever?" And that's great. I just want to rewind a little bit because you said something. And Dr. Miles Monroe, I was listening to one of his tapes on leadership, and he said
Hmm.
the best way to find a great business is you first have to find out what's the problem.
The problem.
If you can
Mhm.
find out the solution to the problem,
Right.
therein lies the business. So, what is the problem? There's a disconnect between consumers who need headshots but don't have time to make it to the photography studio. How do we solve that problem? We bring the photography studio to them, and that's kind of how it went. That's my motto: is find a problem, find a solution. There should be finances there.
Yeah, because God put a solution in us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the first day we're born. The
Mm-hmm.
next day is most important is what were we brought, discover why we're here.
Right, right, right,
What were we created to do and
right.
what problem are we created to solve?
Mm.
So let me ask this. What would you say, how do you define meaningful relationships? What does that mean to you?
Mm. You know, any type of relationship where, first of all, it's symbiotic, it's reciprocal.
Should be.
Everybody is getting something out the relationship. It's not just
Mhm.
one-sided. But whatever it is you're getting out is adding great value to your life and the other person as well.
Mhm.
I don't
When
know if
it
that
comes,
makes any sense. It's a great
it
question,
does.
though. Okay.
It does. When it comes to men, though, and it comes to, because this show is designed for our men to hear from
Right.
other men. You're a man who has risen from, obscurity, yet at the same time, you never let it hold you down.
Mm-hmm.
You embraced an attitude of
Mm-hmm.
gratitude and attitude to show up different, no matter what life circumstance was.
Right. 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 Right.
So being able to do that, yes, it is a gift and also requires something out of you. You still have to show up being your best self, being your full self every single
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do that, what does it look like when it comes to cultivating meaningful relationships with other men?
Mm. I'm a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, and the motto of our fraternity is friendship is essential to the soul. So I would start off with being a friend. You still here with me?
Yes, sir. The
Yeah.
camera's all on you. All on
Okay.
you right now. All on you. You're
I,
gonna
I
start
would
with being
say being a good friend, being someone that people can depend on, especially other men, other people who call you friend. I think that's where it starts off at is being willing to do something for someone else, even if you're not getting anything or the same amount in return. Being a man, standing on what we call your one. I think that's where it starts off at, and people respect men and other men respect men, but other men have a love and admiration for someone they can truly call friend.
now. See, you took it here,
Hmm.
audience. I want y'all to know he took it here, and this is definitely one of my areas of concern
Hmm.
because there are so many wounded friendships, and a lot of times people don't want to talk about it. They want to just say, okay, this
Hmm.
was scarred, marred, or maybe it didn't work out, and
Hmm.
move on. But I know a lot of men that stick and stay. They're with their brother. Ride, what is it? Ride, I don't like to say ride or
Hmm.
die, ride or
Right.
live, right?
Hmm.
Ride or live.
Hmm.
And no matter what it takes with integrity, they stick with each other.
Hmm.
What do you think is the difference for men? What do men do differently? I know you're not a woman, so you can't speak as one,
Right.
but what
Right.
do men do to stick with each other?
The men just have something that God gave them, and it's this bond that we have that we could be in a fight with a person
Hmm.
at 3 o'clock and 3:15. We're riding bikes together and we
Right.
laugh about it. I can't give you an answer to that. That is something God, put inside of us to, I don't know, to kind of stick it out with someone who we fall in love with from a man standpoint. You know what
Mm.
I mean?
Yeah,
And
I'm
so,
thinking.
go
Oh, go
ahead.
ahead. No, go for it. Go.
So I can't truly, I don't have the answers to all the questions. It's just something inside men who love having people who they vibe with, especially other men they can call, friends and pal. They just, it's something about that, and they'll ride or die to the end on that.
Yeah, so even just talking about you, because you're right, you can't speak for all men. Of course, we
Hmm.
could go into the psychology of it, but that's not what we're here for. We're talking about you and the love that you have for people and
Hmm.
community because you're the person who God has gifted to be able to do it. And
Hmm.
just like everyone else, you've had your challenges and
Yeah.
with life.
Right.
So when you have had something tumultuous come up where maybe the friendship took a blow, what
Hmm.
what is the mind, what is your thought life or your mind, what is your thinking or your mindset when it comes to, so what, this is showing up, what do you do and how
Well,
do you
you
personally handle it?
you make adjustments, but nothing is set in stone. So
Mm-hmm.
let's say conversation, a friend of yours, borrow $5,000, and they say, "Well, I'll give it back to you on July 1st," and they don't give it back on July 1st. Maybe they give it back November 1st. Well, they gave it back, which is a good friend. They didn't give it back on time, which is a sorry borrower. So now you have to put that friend in the box of, he can still be my friend. He just can't borrow no money. You have to be wise and show wisdom in everything you do. All relationships, all friendships with men are not going to be the same. They're going to be different levels to it. And you have to be smarter to understand what level or bondship you have with anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So you just make adjustments, just like anything. But nothing has to be permanent. It doesn't have to be we're done. It just
Yeah,
has to be, hey, we have to make some adjustments. I have day one friends,
or
and
maybe boundaries need to be set.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
yes, I have day one friends who smoke weed and do all kind of stuff.
Right.
I've never been into that. And
Mm.
so when it's time for them to do that, they don't call me. And they know even if they did, I'm not coming. I
Right.
got fraternity brothers who own a bar, and I typically don't go. I'm not
Yeah.
a bar guy. I don't go to bars. I
Mm-hmm.
love him. He's a great guy. If he called me and he need anything, I'm gonna be there. Except for the most part, going to a bar or smoking weed or something like that's just not my thing. I
Right.
continue to stay strong and be a man and
Mm-hmm.
hope they respect it. And if they do respected, man, that's a great friend.
In your opinion, what would you say is what role does like community engagement play when it comes to strengthening social bonds? Because like, how does the community play a part of that in
Ask
developing
the
social bonds?
ask the question a different way. Give me more clarification what you're saying.
So, how, in your opinion, how would you say would be the best way for communities to build stronger bonds?
Well,
For
based on the community, the demographics of the
mhm,
community, is start to figure out what are the needs of the people in that demographic.
mhm.
And then once they figure out what are the needs of the people in that demographic, start putting programs and things together to try to meet those needs.
Yeah, and see, I love that you said that you have multiple spaces of brotherhood, and you
Hmm.
only have a sister, and not that only because your sister is critically important to you, but
Hmm.
you didn't grow up with a brother, so but you were
Per
able to.
se, I had a stepbrother.
Oh, you
I had,
did.
yeah, I
Okay,
had a stepbrother. Yeah.
so we walk up steps, not people, right? So
Right,
that's your brother,
right, right.
and but you were able to develop, you still had to develop a relationship even with him because
Hmm.
he wasn't your bio brother, so that
Right.
gave you some good practice. What are
Hmm.
some of the steps that you take regularly in cultivating new relationships, just new relationships, because you have those that have served you for decades? What are some things that you do even in ministry to cultivate
Well,
new relationships?
one, one being genuine, but also opening yourself and letting people know what it is that you do and
Mm,
what your interests are,
mm-hmm.
and what are your desires are, because you just never know the person you speaking with may be the person who can open up a door for you. Monica Green, are you
Oh
familiar with
yeah,
Monica Green?
yeah, she's in Atlanta now, I think, right?
Right, she is. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So Monica Green, I can honestly say, in the word church too.
Sweet,
Don't get
sweet
me wrong,
person. Yeah,
huh?
very, very kind person. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I can honestly say that the reason why my business has been successful the way it's been is one, I joined the word church, but two, and really, really important, I met Monica Green, because Monica Green advocated for me. Watch this, before
Mm.
I had faith in myself to move.
You were talking about friendship, but I heard you say Monica Green. What were you gonna say about Monica?
Well, besides the importance of the word church, which is majorly important, why
Yes.
my business has been successful, every now and then God will put somebody in place who is going to be your personal advocate. I had no relationship with her, whatever. I did one thing for her, and she said, I'm about to put you on the map. You get what I'm saying? And she
Right.
had me taking pictures for people that I was not eligible to take pictures for,
Wait a
meaning that
minute. Hold on. We gotta pause on that for a moment. So God used her to put you in rooms
that
that
I
you would
was
not
not
have been able to get into on your own.
not only not probably not be able to get into, but I was not good enough to be in those rooms yet.
Mm. You
You know
mean
what I'm
your
saying?
skill? You mean your
My
skill
skill,
as a
yeah, my skill, my
wow?
communication with people, none of that.
Yeah.
What
Mm.
makes God is so amazing, he doesn't put the qualified in place, he puts the unqualified in place so he can get the glory. You get what I'm saying?
And
So
he
here it
equipped
is.
you. Yeah. Uh huh. Uh
I'm
huh.
in rooms I don't supposed to be in, and I am pulling on God to help me. And so
Wow.
now it's strengthening me and God's relationship. You get what I'm saying?
Of
Because I'm
course.
constantly
Yeah.
needing him
Cause
to
you
get
need them. Yes.
done. So when I have a wedding or something super important, I always be like, God, bless my camera, bless my vision, bless my
Wow.
hands. You know what I mean? Make the camera work
Mm.
perfectly. You know what I mean? Because I know I'm overly blessed. Because I
Wow.
know I'm overly blessed, I have to look at the opposite way. If I'm overly blessed, that means if it wasn't for God, there's no way I can make this
Come on.
happen. So I
Come
have to
on.
acknowledge who I am, Gideon. Told
Yes.
God who he was. I'm weak. I come from a weak family. And God
Yeah.
never argued back with him. God, like, well, I
No.
know. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, it was
Exactly.
a time in
Yes.
my life I was the Gideon of photography and graphic design.
So good.
You know
So
what I'm saying?
good.
And God
Yeah.
qualified me through
Mm.
my steadfast pushing through me being able to listen to people he had in place and then people who had in place advocating for me. You get what I'm saying? All these
Yes.
kind of lined up for me. You get what I'm saying? And I was able and willing to walk through those doors and take chances because I believed that God was going to do it for me.
I'm so moved by, I'm moved by your vulnerability. So thank you. And
Mm-hmm.
transparency with relationships, because sometimes people think everything is about money. You
Mm-hmm.
just sometimes need to be connected to the right person, because they can
Yes.
introduce you to the
Mm-hmm.
person that's going to give you the money. And
Mm-hmm.
also, sometimes we are so, I love your humility in this, because you were acknowledging, you know what, no, I'm not really there yet, but God
Mm-hmm.
is opening these doors and I'm going to give him all the glory as I'm going in.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we are so stuck in, you expect somebody to give you a long check when you're not even good yet. It's
No.
like, get good first,
Yeah.
then make demands.
Mm-hmm.
One of my mentors always talks about the importance of being willing to serve.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's talking about it in the marketplace, right? But
Mm-hmm.
when we, and he's also a Christian, but we look at the body of Christ, and as a believer, we're serving anyway. But
Mm-hmm.
he stresses the importance of being willing to serve, because
Mm-hmm.
your servitude will get you in rooms
Mm-hmm.
that no recommendation, no consideration could have ever done. And I
Mm-hmm.
love that you have this real life example with Monica, and I know her. She's a real one. She's really a
Mm-hmm.
wonderful person. She's
Mm-hmm.
no self-grandizing at all. She's all about, I've seen her do it, move people
Mm-hmm.
forward. So as that was happening for you, what was it like for you outside of asking God, Lord, help me. I need you to help me here.
Mm-hmm.
What were you saying to yourself beyond the prayer? You're praying over the equipment, you're praying over your thought life, your prayer life, you're praying over what you say, what questions come up. What's happening for Alvin at the time?
And probably anxiety, you know.
Okay.
um, When you are, I was Sterling Jewelers, Patrice Jackson, so
Mm-hmm.
major person at Sterling Jewelers, and they had this marketing campaign they wanted to do, and the marketing campaign was $5,000, and so they had
Okay.
me at Sterling Jewelers. I know certain things I don't know, but I'm connected to people who know it, so I can manage it. But the
Mm-hmm.
whole time I'm sitting there, there's a part of me saying, "You're not worthy. These white people
Ooh,
gonna find out you don't know what you're talking about. Why don't you just
ooh,
leave the room now?" You get what I'm saying?
like
And
the enemy. Yeah.
the whole
Yeah.
time, you know what I mean? And
Wow.
sometimes the enemy don't be wrong about who you are, but it's not
You know, you're
important about necessarily who you are, is what you have in you. You get what I'm saying?
so good.
You get what I
Yeah.
mean? Because
Yeah.
you may be everything the enemy is telling you you are. The only thing, the trump card you have with the enemy at all time is I got God
I
and
got God.
faith. And because I have God and I have faith, I can
Yeah.
finagle myself into a good situation. You get what I'm saying?
I got God, and God is enough.
Yeah.
That's good right there
Yeah.
in itself.
Yeah.
And you said he sometimes he ain't lying, but he is a
No.
liar. He is
Right.
a
Yeah.
liar,
Yeah.
because he's trying to make you think you're not worthy. He's
Right.
trying to make
Right.
you think you don't
Mhm.
belong there. Trying to
Right. Right.
make
Right.
you
Right. Right.
think
Right.
you're in the wrong room.
Right. Right. Right.
But
Right.
God said, "Don't worry about that. You just go
Hmm.
anyway." And that's
Yeah.
a message for somebody out there, especially you men that are listening, to just do it anyway. Do it knees shaking, and do it afraid. We know if there's any fear, it's not of God, it's of the enemy. And I'll just tell you all, the enemy didn't want us to have this conversation
Right.
tonight,
Right.
but
Right.
we
Right.
have
Right.
it
Yeah.
anyway. We have it. We having
Yeah.
it anyway,
Yeah.
and
And
we made some adjustments to make it
it's
happen.
it's therapeutic for me because I'm still elevating in my profession.
Yeah. Hmm.
I'm still climbing in rooms that subconsciously I may not think I'm supposed to be in. And I have to deal with
Mm.
that anxiety all over again. And because I've been doing this so long, it
Yeah.
doesn't bother me like it did when
Back
I was
then.
younger.
Hmm.
So with that said, I would, if I give any advice to men or anybody right now, particularly men, is do not try to silence advocators. You got a cousin and you got a best friend who always like, my dude to do it, my guy do it, my dude to do this. And you're gonna be like, man, stop telling people gotta do it. I'm trying to get this, that. Don't try to silence them. They are put in place for a reason. So God can give unto your bosom through other people. That make any sense?
That's so good, Alvin, because you just said, you spoke a word right there. Monica was advocating for you,
Mm-hmm.
and she was speaking your name up. Your
Mm-hmm.
name was in the wind, and she
Mm-hmm.
didn't care about what you had to say about what you couldn't do. She like, we don't care, you doing this.
Mm.
And that's a word for someone that if other people are speaking your name, stop speaking your name down.
Right.
Saying
Right.
what you can't do or what you're not worthy of, or you don't have the equipment, you don't have the wherewithal.
Hmm.
It's not up to you to fund it. It's up to
Right.
God to fund it, but you got to be
Hmm.
willing to step out the boat, Peter.
Hmm. Right. Exactly.
As you just mentioned. So I want to switch gears a little bit. So Monica made these. Monica, I heard you say Patrice. I've heard you say a number of people over the years. The Word Church, a phenomenal ministry. I want to know for you, how have you been able to take that, harness it, then do the same thing for someone else?
I mean, it's easy. There's certain things in multimedia I don't know how to do. So when I get a phone call to do it, I got a guy. I send a
Mhm.
guy and I call and like, hey, yo, I just gave these people a number. Don't let them play you and say this what their budget is. I'm telling you what their budget is. You go in
Okay.
and you try to get as much as money as you can, do them right, and you just kind of pass it on. Another thing, I don't charge to teach people what I know. With that said, I've paid thousands of dollars in
Hundreds
workshops,
of thousands.
yeah, in workshops, and all this kind of
Hundreds.
stuff,
Mm-hmm.
learning how to do what I know how to do. But I don't charge people to learn what I know how to do. If you can make it to one of my weddings, if you can make it to the Word Church on Sunday, if you can make it to one of my headshot sessions, you're going to be able to grab a camera and you're going to be able to help out. And I'm going to teach you. You get what I'm
Mm.
saying? I
So
don't.
wait a minute. Wait. That's what I call sweat equity, right?
Mhm,
It's old school sweat equity. You know,
mhm,
you go build up the house, and you're getting equity built in.
mhm.
Can I ask you why you do that?
It just seems right. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Because again, there's a part of me who thinks that somebody cheated for me. So why not cheat for somebody else and help them get to a level? Now, they
Wow.
don't have to pay. They don't have to take the suffs and the roughs that I took to get to where I'm at. Somebody called me and they seen a picture of online that I put, and they asked me how I do that. I'm going to tell them. Or
Mm.
if someone that I know put a picture up and they're bragging about their work, and I see something do wrong, I'm going to inbox them and say, "Why'd you do that?" Like,
Mm. Yeah.
maybe you should
Yeah.
move over here, or maybe you
Uh,
should do that, and your
right.
pictures will turn out better. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I remember. Look, you did it to me years ago.
I
I
did.
remember I did it. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I got a real story, y'all. I got a real
Right.
story. I did a photo shoot for somebody years ago, and this is probably my youngest is 22, so it had to be over 20 years ago.
Hmm.
Maybe he was like a couple years old, so
Hmm.
almost 20 years ago. And you were like, "Hey, that picture is gorgeous, but one of your earrings is missing."
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
Like, you can't put that up. It's only
Right.
one ring. And I was like,
Right.
yeah, I can. But I took it down because you were
Right.
like, it's a great picture, but
Mhm.
you only have one earring. And I don't know if you remember this. You also said if you ever get in that situation again, make sure all your photos are from that side, or
Mm.
switch and put the earring on the other side.
Hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
So
sounds right.
so I know that's true because you did it to me. And
Hmm. I
the
did it. I did it. I did it privately. I'm sure I didn't get on your page and say it where everybody could read it. You get what I'm saying?
of course
Yeah.
not. Of
Right.
course not. No, no,
Hmm.
no. You actually shared it in love. And
Hmm.
so the marketplace side of me says there is a way to perhaps give as you're giving because
Hmm.
I'm not like I think it was Patty LaBelle said you're not gonna block my blessings. Don't block
Right.
my
Right. Right.
blessings.
Mhm.
So I'm not suggesting that. But of course there's ways where there are some things that might be used for monetization. But
Mhm.
also there's a guy that is one of my masterminds, and he says that a lot of people give him grief because he sows so much, like he
Mhm.
gives so
Mhm.
much to people in the group.
Mhm.
And he doesn't have to. He could be making thousands of hundreds of thousands of
Mhm.
dollars off of what he gives. But he says, this is what he says, life changing. He says, what I receive in return is not coming from any of you.
Mhm.
My job, what God calls me to do, is to sow into you. Now, God might use one of you to put somebody else in my path that will then give to me or
Mhm.
provide for me in the marketplace. But what I'm doing in this vein, nobody's going to stop me from doing it because
Mhm.
God told me to sow it,
Right.
and
There's a
God is yielding the dividends.
Amen. There's a scripture in the Bible who talks where God talks about when you give unto the poor, I will remember you in the day of judgment. Now, the
Yeah.
poor doesn't necessarily have to be people who don't have no money. It's
Correct.
people don't have no vision, or people who don't
Yeah.
have they have a
Yeah.
talent, they don't have the
Yeah.
wherewithal to make it happen. And you
Mm,
give unto those people, they pour in vision or they pour in talent. You get what I'm saying? Or they pour in just, how they speak and act around clients and stuff like that. You kind of pull them to the side and you give them game. It's not necessarily money, but it turns into money if they can accept the game that you're giving them. In return, God is going to bless you because he's going to remember you. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Yeah. I
When
do
it's
think that men are
time.
so good at this. Men are so good at it. I mean, I think personally, I think men do a better job than we as women do. There's a
Mhm,
guy that I know. I did an interview with him last during our first season, and he's now all over the place now, a great director. And he was sharing his story, went to Howard, and how he, during a down season, how he had just pulled all his resources of people that he worked with over the years.
mhm,
People that saw what he was doing were offering to help.
mhm.
Now God's got him on big stages. He's doing all
Right,
kinds of things now, and
right, right.
in New York, and just an outpour of just amazing blessings. But that wasn't the case just a few years ago. And he
Mhm,
was saying that the men weren't asking for anything. They weren't saying,
mhm,
you don't have to pay this invoice. I need to pay. I have a child in school. They were just about the mission of getting the mission done.
mhm.
So let me ask you this, Alvin. Because you've been able to do it in such a great way, can you speak to a man that's listening right now that has a gift and a talent within them, yet they're stingy and selfish with the gift? Can you share with them the importance in building relationships, how that's going to help them by being willing to give?
The Bible talks about what God has for you is for you. So if you can wrap your brain or your mind around the idea that God is your provider and he's not going to hold anything back from you because there's 10 people who do the same thing in your space, I think you would be a lot better. Um, Not only as a person, as a man, but as a business person. You have to accept the fact that it is God's responsibility to provide for you. And as long as you call on him, as long as you have a relationship with him, as long as you're a good person, you do people right, and as long as you're being available to do the work that he's asking you to do, whether it's in ministry or whether it's in your profession, it's going to turn around and it's going to come back to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. So
Look at here, look at here. That's a word right there. That's a word. That's a whole word right there.
I don't think
When
people know what pressed down, shaken together, running over mean.
can you help the people understand? Help
If
the
you can
people
imagine
understand what it means.
you're getting ready to go out of town and you're trying
Down,
to
press
pack a suit,
down.
yeah, you packing the suitcase and you put all your clothes in there and you sit on it, and then when
Yeah,
it locks, you shake it. And when you shake it, all the different little avenues and spaces where your clothes or whatever you put in there didn't fit, you can
right.
open up and you can put more in. You get what I'm saying? That's when the
Yes.
Bible talks about press down. You sat on it, shaking together, you shook it, you know what I'm saying? Now it's just running over. And that is amazing. If you can wrap your mindset around that God is true to his word and
Yeah.
that giving to somebody else, it doesn't mean you're taking away from yourself, you'll be fine. There's a
Yeah. That relate.
reward
Mhm.
in blessing someone else because you can sit back and smile and subconsciously yourself, like, man, God used me to help that person. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I take great
Yeah.
joy in that. So,
And I can hear it, and it's authentic. You take
mhm,
great joy. So you know God's gonna get ready. It's preparing you for even greater.
mhm.
If you had to sum up your life and your thought life, I'll say more so your thought life when it comes to relationship currency. I call relationship capital
Mhm.
relationship currency. If you
Mhm.
have to sum it up in one word, what would that one word be?
Unselfish.
Woo!
Just selfish.
Alvin,
Yeah, it's unselfish.
Alvin,
Mhm. If it's just one
Alvin.
word, unselfish.
One
Just
word.
yeah, just open to avail your time, your talent, and your treasure to someone else. That you know, there's not your blood, is not your kin. It's just somebody who could use it. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So just being, just unselfish,
So I ask everybody this question. I don't know how this is possible that we're almost coming down to the wrap up of this interview, but I want to ask you two questions. So the first one is, who is your greatest hero?
Hmm.
Who's influenced you the most in life as and identified as hero or shero? Who would that
Hmm.
person be?
Dr. Vernon.
Yeah,
Uh,
that doesn't
yeah,
surprise me. Hmm.
he is someone, and I don't even think, and I can get
So
emotional.
why? Who? So Dr. R A Vernon, y'all that don't know,
Right.
Dr. R A Vernon from Cleveland, Ohio,
He
and why?
he is someone who I look at and I say, man, if I could just make him proud. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like I've already got my mother over. It doesn't take much to get your mother over. You know what I mean? My sister, she calls and she borrows money. We know she's not paying it back. You know what I mean? Got them,
Love it.
nieces and nephews, Christmas, I was the man or whatever like that. You know what I mean? So winning people over my family is nothing. They already sold on the idea that I'm, they think I'm brilliant and I'm this guy. And it's been like that far as I can remember. But, with my pastor, um, and even outside of him being my pastor, just somebody I look to and I'm like, man, this dude don't miss. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like I'm not
Yeah.
saying he's perfect, but he don't miss. Man, if I could
Mm.
just have a season where I don't miss. You know what I'm saying? Could you
Mm.
imagine? It's just like every move you kind of making or whatever like that is coming out, it's coming out great, or it feels like it's coming out gold. Could you
Yeah.
imagine if you had a 6 month, 7 month, or a whole year or 2 year run, or man, you just making all these kind of moves is coming out right. You treating people great, you paying people, you acting with integrity or whatever like that, and then you call
Yeah.
and you love on people, and then you like, I can go to him on Sunday. It's like, man, I gotta call you tomorrow. I need a favor. He's like, call me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And just he's open to
And
helping.
it's
He's
mm-hmm.
open to give you knowledge. Now, whatever you ask him, he's going to come with it. You get what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So he's not going to just give you anything. I'm not talking about finances. I'm talking about
Right.
whatever that you need. He's going to give you Dr. Vernon with it, which is to
Yeah.
me is just as valuable as anything. You know what I mean? So if it's a
It is.
you that you're talking about, I would
Mm-hmm.
say Dr. R. Vernon is someone who I look up to, and I don't think he even knows it. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
I love what you said about the fact that we know that in life we all have those things that are an encumbrance, right? And
Hmm.
even to the world where it looks like everything is glittering and
Hmm.
gold, there's never anything wrong.
Hmm.
But there are some people that just handle life struggles with grace. They
Right.
handle them well, and
Hmm.
he's one of them. Him and Lady Bernard, they're just a couple. I know a few couples, only a few couples that I know that really do it like that, do it that well. But you have been blessed to be able to sit at his feet, and
Hmm.
so have I. I don't get me started. That ministry blessed my life in ways that money
Hmm.
definitely could never buy. And I will say that in the midst of all that, you still have access. And access, people don't
Hmm.
understand, is more important
Hmm.
than a dollar.
Right,
When it
right.
comes to your greatest lesson, the lesson
Hmm.
that took you the longest to learn, what
Mm.
would you say that is?
Um, Character is everything. Um, you got to have great character. You have to be a great person. You have to treat people right. Um, you have to be attracted to people who have great character. I'm not talking about relationships as far as a man or woman. I'm talking about any type of relationship, friends or whatever. Is someone who is just a good person. And if you realize that your character is being compromised of something that you're doing, you have to be willing to pray to God and ask Him to help you in those particular areas. You have to be able to look in the mirror at yourself and be honest and say, man, I did that girl wrong, or I did this situation wrong, or I did this guy wrong, or I did this client wrong, and be able to get up and fix those things. So I would say character.
That's so good, character. Listen, you know what? I feel like I could talk to you another hour or two,
Okay.
but we won't do that to the people this time.
Okay.
I will
Okay.
say though, this has been an incredible conversation.
Hmm.
Now we're going to include a lot of the links with everything that you're doing. I just more importantly want to make sure that you share with the audience that you actually photograph everything. I mean,
Hmm.
you're photographing seniors in high school, folks that are graduating from college. You're doing
Hmm.
weddings. You're doing, servicing in ministry every week. So, is there anything that you want to share with them around, when it comes to the photography or even the graphic design work that you do?
Just, I created headshots on wheels so people can have great headshots, great representation on social media, LinkedIn, or whatever they're trying to get
Yeah.
employment or trying to get an avenue and trying to brand themselves. I think headshots on wheels is an affordable way to get
Mhm.
amazing, clear headshots. So that's what I want people to know.
I want you all to flood him. Y'all pack up his calendar. Just pack it up. You all in Cleveland that are surrounding communities that are in that area, you all
Mhm.
pack it up. And I'm sure there are times when he's on the road
Mhm.
with clients that are out of town. I just really want to thank you. I appreciate you. You have been really just a joy to have in conversation tonight. I pray that, obviously there's some men that will hone true or dig into some of the things
Mhm.
that you shared. And I'm just grateful that you carved out a little bit of time for us on
No, no.
this evening to be able to share with our audience. It's
No,
been a
I
delight.
appreciate it, and just know that this conversation was not. Um, it was a blessing for me to look back and kind of reflect, and I, to be honest with you, I answered every question 100% honest, and being
Mm.
able to do that and kind of reflect on where I was at and where I'm at now, it was a blessing to do it.
Until the very next time.
Okay.
And again, it's been my privilege and delight to have you in the bullpen tonight.
All right.
Until
Thank
our
you.
next episode. All right.
All my cues. All right. All right. All right. All
Look,
right.
here we go. Thanks,
All right.
Alvin. What? Oh my goodness. Wasn't Alvin mighty to have in the bullpen tonight? Such candor, such authenticity, so kind. I say it all the time. People can be kind, but they don't have to be kind to you. So just the desire to be willing to sit in with us. You all see, my well theory tonight is very simple. All I have tonight is the mere fact that you need to be genuine with people. Stop always looking for somebody to have to pay you or give you some type of physical currency, monetary currency. Currency comes in all forms. And tonight, even though we're talking about meaningful relationships all season long, tonight we are talking about relationship capital and the importance of it. So I hope you all will take it, run with it. Don't just keep it to yourself. Don't be greedy. Go out and share it until our very next episode. And I will see you in the bullpen. Have a good night.